got through a lot faster this time. You think that's what it was? Yeah, I think we got through a lot. So the only reason I bring this up
Thank you.
is I want to do something. Like this.
I didn't think anything about
You just said I don't need this shit. Just like us.
It's terribly busy. We just opened up a new park. And it's a disability. So the kids can drive there. They can roll
Like a necessity. All of it is inclusive. Is it like an inclusive?
It is.
Because we don't have it.
I made it.
Good evening. I'd call to order the regular commission meeting for April 8th, 2025. Ms. City Clerk, would you please call the order?
Mayor Varian? Vice Mayor Scow?
Here.
Commissioner McCutcheon?
Present.
Commissioner Williams? Commissioner Watts?
Here.
Thank you. We do have two additions to the,
See.
Invocation.
oh, I'm sorry. Okay. We will have the pledge of allegiance and the invocation by Commissioner McCutcheon.
Dear God, we come this evening to discuss the matters at hand regarding the city of Fort Meade and its residents. And God, I ask your blessings upon this meeting. And I pray that everything that is done and said is done in decency and in order. And your name will be glorified in all that we say and in all that we do. In your name, Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do have two additions. We delete item 1101 from the agenda. H01 and amended staff report and resolution R 2025-48 item I-12.
Vice Mayor, I move to delete item H01 from the agenda and add amended staff report resolution R2025-48 to item I-12.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say yes.
Aye.
Opposed? Like sign. Motion passed 3-0. Proclamations and presentations and rewards. Are there any? We have none, so we'll move to item F, the public forum. Each person addressing the commission shall sign in with the city clerk no later than 6:05 p.m. Person shall step up to the microphone, shall give his or her name and address in an audible tone of voice for the record, and unless further time is granted by the commission, shall limit their address to 3 minutes. All remarks shall be addressed to the commission as a body and not to any member. No person other than the members of the commission having the floor shall be permitted to enter into any discussion either directly or through the members or the commission. We have anybody signed up, city clerk?
Emanuela Driggers.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Emanuela Driggers. My address is 500 Fifth Street Northeast. Do I start with my speech now? Florida is third in the U.S. for pedestrian fatalities, with 778 deaths and over 8,000 injuries just last year. A study by the AAA Foundation discovered 40% of people hit by cars at 30 miles per hour sustained severe injuries, and a substantial amount of those people died. At 25 miles per hour, that dropped significantly from 40% to 10%, and 2% if it's less than 20 miles per hour. I'm telling you this because more than 12 reports of extreme and frequent speeding on our residential roads have been posted to our town's Facebook since the tragic death of 9-year-old Andres Martinez, September 29, 2023. That doesn't include reports and comments. Every parent's greatest fear is to lose a child, and our community has already lost one. Whose baby is next? How many does it take? One is too many. With increasing population and new drivers in our town, numbers and reports and odds of injuries and deaths will rise unless we make changes now. An ITE report highlighted the importance of slowing speeders on neighborhood roads that are used by children because they lack ability to judge traffic accurately, especially when crossing, riding, walking on streets, or distracted by play. Gated and retirement communities post lower speeds for their safety and well-being. Fort Meade may not be gated or a retirement community, but it is a family and golf cart community. Carts typically max at 20 miles per hour, children typically ride bikes at 15 miles per hour, and then there's babies and strollers, pets, and elderly on the streets too. Slowing and calming down drivers will make the town safe for all residents. My proposition is we request an investigation to reduce in-town residential speed limits to 25 miles per hour or less per the Florida statute 316.183.2, which states, with respect to a residence district, a county or municipality may set a maximum speed limit of 20 or 25 miles per hour on local streets after an investigation determines it's reasonable. Even without reducing the limits, we can slow speeds by enforcing the current limits with radar signs, especially around schools and parks, with bike and pedestrian lanes to narrow the road width, or with speed humps, not bumps like we tried on Lanier, with less stop signs and more pedestrian traffic. The National Institute of Health concluded a 60% reduction in the odds for injury and death where speed humps were implemented. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else?
Well, I would like to comment on that. I agree 100% with speed limits. I'm not saying that too high of line, but we do need to get a handle on enforcing current speed limits at least. And I've always been against speed bumps, but I'm in favor of them to a point now. And I think the sergeant and I've had many talks over the year or so, and I would like to see, especially several particular streets in particular, that have always been speed limit areas or speed zones for people. But I would advocate the investigation as necessary to entertain that motion, that idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Mr. Watts. So we move on to item G, approval of the minutes. From the March 11th, 2025 commission workshop, March 11th, 2025 regular commission meeting.
Vice Mayor,
Go ahead.
Vice Mayor, I move to approve the minutes of March 11, 2025 for the commission workshop and the minutes of the March 11th regular commission meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. So stated. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed 3-0. Item H, consent agenda.
But since the one is deleted, I believe we can move on to I.
Yes. We're moving on to I1. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Resolution number 2025-37, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Meade, Florida, authorizing the execution of an agreement with Main Street Fort Meade, Inc. for the purpose of advancing the general welfare and prosperity of the city's Main Street area and providing for an effective date.
Right. So, just this is an annual agreement for fiscal year 2025 with our Main Street. The enclosed agreement outlines those terms and conditions for Main Street performance activities. This total agreement is in the amount of $12,500 payable monthly in equal amounts. Staff recommends approval of this resolution authorizing the execution of the grant agreement, and staff is available should there be any questions. Back to you, sir.
Any questions?
I do. In regards to these agreements, is it still where, I know you said they're paid out monthly, is it still where they have to turn in receipts and get reimbursed? Okay. Just asking. That's it.
Mr. Watts, you have any?
No, sir.
I move to approve resolution R2025-37, authorizing execution of the Main Street Fort Meade grant agreement.
I do have a question.
Oh, okay.
On my packet, I have, if I'm not looking at the right one, R20225-40.
It's in your package.
Oh, okay, admitted to it, okay, thank you. I'm sorry.
No problem.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for resolution R 2025-37. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed 3-0. Item H, I2.
Item I2.
I2.
Resolution number 2025-38, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Meade, Florida, authorizing the execution of an agreement with the Fort Meade Chamber of Commerce, Inc. for the purpose of advancing the general welfare and prosperity of the city and providing for an effective date.
All right. And so similar to the previous agreement, this is an annual agreement with the Chamber of Commerce. Again, we've enclosed within the agreement, those terms and conditions, similar to the previous, this one also calls for reimbursement. The total agreement is in the amount of $12,500, payable monthly in equal amounts, and this also comes from your legislative fund. Staff recommends approval of resolution R 2025-38, authorizing the execution of the grant agreement, and staff is available for any questions.
Any discussion?
I have none.
I'm done.
I'm looking for a motion.
I move, Mr. Mayor, I move to approve resolution number R202538.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Say, opposed, same sign. Motion passed 3-0. Item H3. I3. I was just gonna.
Resolution number 2025-39, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Meade, Florida, authorizing the execution of a grant agreement with Help of Fort Meade, Inc. for the purpose of providing assistance, rent/mortgage and utilities assistance to Fort Meade residents in emergency financial situations and providing for an effective date.
All right, so this grant agreement is for fiscal year 2025 with the Help of Fort Meade. And just for background, for the general public or people watching, the Help of Fort Meade is a nonprofit organization that provides a rent, mortgage, and utility assistance to our residents in emergency financial situations. In addition, the organization operates a food pantry and a thrift shop for those in need. This total agreement is in the amount of $15,000. This one is payable quarterly in equal amounts of $3,750. And this also is from the legislative fund. Staff recommends approval of this resolution authorizing the execution of the agreement. And staff is available for questions.
I have none.
Have none. Mr. Vice Mayor, I move to approve resolution R2025-39.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. R2025-39. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion passed 3-0. Number I4.
Resolution number 2025-40, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Meade, Florida, authorizing the issuance of a request for bid for grant administration project BB214, which is the design and construction of a new library and a multi-purpose community center, funded through the Florida Capital Projects Fund grant agreement with the State of Florida, Department of Commerce, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
So this request is associated with the new multi-purpose facility. And you all unanimously approved us to go to bid on the construction aspect of this last month. If you approve this, we would release this procurement on April 16th with a closing date of May 19th. And so our goal is to put this service that's tied to the grant on the same timeline with the construction, when we would be receiving those bids back from proposers. The cost for these services is $160,000, and this is funded by the grant in whole. Staff recommends approval of this resolution, authorizing staff to release this bid. And the staff is available should you have any questions.
Any discussion?
I have
No
none.
discussion. Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve resolution number R2025-40.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution R2025-40. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed 3-0. I5.
Resolution number 2025-41, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Meade, Florida, authorizing the issuance of a request for bids for the American Legion RV Park VFW wastewater sewer system expansion project funded through the State Revolving Fund Grant Agreement WG-127, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
So this request is authorization again for us to go forward with this project at the American Legion with the sewer expansion project. This project is grant funded at $785,000. And, again, as Attorney Smith mentioned, we received this funding through the state revolving loan fund. We do have some additional items associated with this project on the agenda a little bit later, so they're just not in order for you. But staff recommends approval of this resolution, authorizing staff to go forward and release this bid. And staff is available if you have any questions.
I have none.
None. I'm looking for a motion.
Chair, Mr. Chair, I move to approve resolution R2025-41, authorizing bid announcement for the Micronesia Sewer Expansion Project.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to resolution R 2025-41. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries 3-0. I-5.
Resolution number 2025-42, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Meade, Florida, approving the contract for the appropriation award from the Division of State Fire Marshal within the Department of Financial Services in the amount of $250,000 for the purchase of fire safety equipment, authorizing the contract and take all necessary actions to implement its terms, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
So we are seeking approval of this contract. It will allow staff to proceed with the purchase and procurement of the equipment. These equipment purchases and upgrades will enhance our operational efficiency in the fire department and improve our overall firefighter safety. And the total expenditure under this appropriation is $248,375. Now, the way these are structured is at the municipality, we have to expend these dollars and then we will be reimbursed for these dollars. So upon execution of the contract and submission of all supporting documentation, the state will reimburse the city. We would expect that funding to come back to us within 40 days. That's the way the agreement is structured. Staff recommends approval of Resolution R 2025-42, authorizing the execution of contract FM 1014. And Chief Zahara is here to beat his chest and say good things about fire if you all have anything.
I have no questions.
Mr. Watts, do you have anything?
Not this time.
Vice Mayor, I move to approve resolution R 2025-42.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
A second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution R 2025-42. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed. 3-0. Item 7.
Resolution number 2025-43, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Meade, Florida, appointing 2 new members to the Planning and Zoning Board to replace member Thomas Budana. If I said that wrong, I apologize. And member Vincent Duarte. Providing for findings, providing for an effective date.
So just as for information, these 2 members have been largely unresponsive to staff requests and the attempts to get them to attend meetings. And so the recommendation here within the process, it allows for each commissioner to make appointments with the mayor and vice mayor appointing 2 members. And Mayor McCutcheon and Vice Mayor Berrien appointed these 2 members. Therefore, the appointments shall come from Vice Mayor Shell and Mayor Berrien. Mayor Berrien is aware that he will have to make this appointment at a subsequent meeting. So, Mr. Shell, if you are so inclined, you can do so this evening. If you do have someone in mind, or you can wait until you do have a member to recommend. But again, the staff is recommending the removal of Mr. Pizzana and Mr. Duarte from the Planning and Zoning Board and replacing them with 2 newly appointed members. And staff is available for any questions if you have any about process.
No discussion.
Huh?
No discussion. So.
I don't have any questions.
I've got a question. I'm ready to appoint somebody tonight myself, but Sam's not here. Commissioner Barron's not here, so Madam Attorney, how does that work?
You would be able to appoint. You would have that authority.
Okay, I'd like to appoint Debbie Durant Rao. Oh,
Can you spell her name, please?
listen,
Have you spoken with Debbie?
I spoke at length with her. I also talked to Mr. Casey, who's, I believe he's over the zoning board for president of the zoning board. And, he was highly in favor of her.
Alright.
So we need a motion on that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what?
Vice Mayor Scale, I move to approve a resolution R2025-43 with the appointment of Debbie Durance Rao to the Planning and Zoning Board by Vice Mayor Scale.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution R 2025-43. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed. 3-0. Item 8.
Meeting.
Resolution number 2025-44, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Meade, Florida, regarding the previously approved land swap agreement with State Post number 23, Incorporated, which provided for the acquisition of approximately 8.875 acres of land in exchange for sewer services, authorizing the procurement without an appraisal and with the purchase of a $300,000 title insurance policy, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
All right. So this resolution is related to the title insurance associated with the land swap. For the public, this commission agreed to have that land, approximately 8.875 acres, conveyed to the city in exchange for this sewer project, which we are running with, and you all just approved shortly a few minutes ago. But under these terms of the agreement, we're looking at the title insurance, and so for us, the cost is approximately $525 for every 100,000. And so we're expecting this not to exceed $6,000, and that is not inclusive of any recording fees. But staff recommends the approval of the resolution, also allowing us to forego the appraisal and then allowing me to purchase the title insurance in the amount of $300,000. And staff is available for any questions should you have any.
Mr. Watts?
Have no questions? I would move to approve resolution 2025-44. Approve the purchase of the title insurance for the state recognition land swap project in the amount of $350,000 or $300,000.
Be $300,000.
$300,000.
Yes, sir.
At the bottom price.
Yes.
Of $300,000.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve R 25-44. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes 3-0. Item 49, resolution R 25-45.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Meade, Florida, regarding case number 53-2023 CC 002651, followed by 6 consecutive zeros. City of Fort Meade versus the estate of Robert Lovett Clanton et al. That just means there are several other parties there. Authorizing the interim city manager, deputy clerk, and interim city attorney to take certain actions regarding said case in the upcoming tax deed sale, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
All right. So in March of this year, the city was served with notice that the property is scheduled to be sold at a tax deed auction on April 17th. So that's coming up here next week. And so for us, this is fairly time sensitive because what we're sharing with you today will determine whether or not we foreclose or we just kind of stand pat where we are. To date, the city has incurred approximately $15,000 to $30,000 in pursuing this foreclosure action. And so in order to remove the property from the tax deed auction, either the city or an heir of the estate would need to pay those past due taxes in the amount of $12,382. And just so you know, that amount continues to increase every single day, and we would have to go back and pull a new number if we were to jump in and want to pay that, because this is as of March 20th when we found those numbers. But we expect the outcome to be very similar in that, depending on what we do here, whether we halt the tax deed sale or not, we would expect the same outcome. So this is an unbudgeted expense for us should we want to dive in and pay this $12,000 plus. And so our fiscal impact on the recovery would be about $15,000 if we wait it out. So with that, staff is recommending that this commission authorize the city to maintain its foreclosure action while allowing the tax deed sale to proceed on the scheduled date. And so subsequently, we would collectively, with the city attorney, we would work to secure the city's financial interest and then have that case dismissed when appropriate and recoup our dollars. So Attorney Smith will answer any questions you may have on this one.
Did you mention the hard costs involved? Did we have any hard costs?
So I want to say that we may have some.
I thought we had cleaned up that property.
Yeah, we may have some hard costs on this. We may have some hard costs. Mr. George is not here this evening, and I apologize that we don't have those numbers, but we can certainly follow up with you if you.
Okay, I would like to know that. I'm not interested in giving away hard costs.
Okay.
I don't think it's fiscally responsible to our citizens.
Is it okay for me to clarify regarding the hard costs?
Yes, ma'am.
So within the complaint that was filed, the foreclosure complaint, it will seek to get any hard costs back.
Right.
When the foreclosure goes through, there'll be a court order that orders the sale of the property at auction. So whether the property is sold through the city's foreclosure or whether it's sold through the tax deed auction foreclosure, the city would be able to recoup those same fees, which would be the hard
I just
cost.
want to confirm that.
Yes.
And so that estimation that we provided to you is that potential recovery cost. So it's not exact, but we
Well, I think
estimated
that
that
figure that we estimated has come across the board before. So we're not doing all this transpiring. Okay, but I just wanted to confirm that our hard costs are not being overlooked.
How much land there? That's all I know. Clanton's place, right?
Yeah, it's clear space online.
Well, I own a house that wasn't worth much. I mean, I've been in it a couple of times.
Well, when talking to city staff a little bit about this when it came up, I kind of clarified that the city would not be in a position to retain the property. So it's not that type of foreclosure.
Right.
When I spoke with, I believe, George, he stated, we have some other things coming up, and we went back and forth on that, if it would be in the city's best interest to pay the pass-through property taxes to retain it. And so I just wanted to clarify that no matter what, the city has no right to stand in to ever have ownership of that property unless they were to bid on the property at auction and get it. And then that's a gamble. You don't know if you're going to get it or not. And those costs could go up staggering. Based on our last couple of auctions that we've watched, and our interim city manager has watched a few as well, those properties go up for excess of $70,000, $80,000, $90,000, $100,000. So it would be in our best interest to necessarily go with trying to pay the taxes necessarily, because the same end is going to be achieved whether the clerk sells it through the tax deed auction or whether the clerk sells it through the foreclosure that we have open already. We want to retain it and keep the foreclosure open in case for some reason it doesn't sell at auction. We never know that, but more than likely it probably will. But if it doesn't sell at auction, then we turn around and we'd be forced to sell. Hopefully it sells at auction, because if it doesn't sell at tax deed auction, it's not going to sell at the auction that we have.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner McCutcheon, do you have?
No, I have no questions. Vice Mayor, I move, to approve resolution R 2025-45.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolutions R 25-45. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed 3-0. Number 10. I-10.
Resolution number 2025-46, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Meade, Florida, authorizing the issuance of a request for bid for a Fort Meade street paving project funded through the Florida Department of Transportation, FDOT, Agreement 452957-1-54-01, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
So last month at the commission, you all approved an updated grant agreement on this particular project. So upon your approval today, we'll proceed with the procurement on this project. The fiscal impact for these services, it's funded at $1 million for the grant. Then there was a CRA grant, or CRA match, that was associated with this in the amount of $100,000. That current balance due is $28,000. So staff recommends the approval of this resolution authorizing the bid announcement for this street paving project. And staff is available should there be any questions.
I have no questions.
None.
Vice Mayor, I move to approve R 2025-46.
Second.
We have a motion and a proper second to approve R 25-46. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes 3-0. I-11.
Resolution number 2025-47, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Meade, Florida, approving 4 signed temporary construction easements and agreements for the sidewalk improvements project, authorizing the mayor and city staff to execute 1 additional temporary construction easement and agreement contingent upon the property owner's signature, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Just for background, these temporary construction easements give us the authorization to access the property during construction for the purpose of reconstructing driveways, sidewalks, any utilities or infrastructure, and then also removing any obstructions to the planned construction that may occur. So there is really no fiscal impact on this. We would like to receive and execute the 4 the current temporary construction easements, and then there's 1 outstanding that we will pursue after we wrap up. We would like to be able to execute that without coming back to you for that approval. So staff recommends approval of resolution R 2025-47. And staff is available should there be any questions.
I have none.
None.
Commissioner Watts?
I'm done.
Vice Mayor, I move to approve resolution R 2025-47.
Second.
We have a motion and a proper second to approve resolution R 25-47. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes 3-0. Number I-12.
Resolution number 2025-48, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Meade, Florida, addressing the critical staffing shortage within the Fort Meade Fire Department and authorizing the hire of 2 part-time firefighters to ensure continued operational readiness and public safety and providing for an effective date.
So currently our fire department has a staff member out on an extended leave of absence. And so this has created a little bit of a challenge for the fire department staff. They've done a great job of managing through the situation with internal shift redistribution and using on-call part-time firefighters. But we want to do a little bit better and I think shore up the staff so that we don't have this constraint. So this proposed solution is to hire 2 part-time firefighters, and this comes in at a cost that's 10% cheaper than the single full-time employee that we would have on staff. And again, this supports that flexibility for the staff, but it also would help us reduce our overtime because we would be covering with the part-time staff. There is some minor costs associated with background checks and things of that nature and hiring the new staff. However, we would not expect this to be a significant impact on the fire department's budget. Staff recommends approval of this resolution authorizing the recruitment and hiring of those 2 part-time firefighters. And our HR director and Chief Zahara are here for any discussion, should there be questions.
I have none.
I have questions. The cost per part-time firefighters will be $25,000 to $30,000, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's, so we're looking at the top end, $60,000 for the 2. And that's 10% less than the full-time captain?
So the way it was structured when we presented the information, I believe it was in an hourly format. But I will let Chief and Ms. Harrison speak to the overall total salary distribution.
But it would take 2 part-time to cover the 1 captain full-time, correct?
Yes, sir, if I may correct, just because of the nature and the status of their current employment, most of these gentlemen or ladies work primary occupation at another fire department, so they would work here on their days off. So basically to ensure that we fill that gap and reduce that overtime cost, because right now we're having to fill that, at overtime cost. So it may have been a little, misleading, and I'll take the heat for that if it was confusing. So that those numbers are relatively accurate. Our best estimated, yes, and there's a lot of variables with firefighter schedules that go into that. But the part that's not in there is it's actually a cost savings. So it's an hourly cost savings. That particular employee that's not there right now was a budgeted employee position. So they're not getting compensated and paid. So what that part, you see those numbers, but what wasn't in there, again, what I did not make sure was included in there was that it was offsetting that. So
Okay. I saw the hourly breakout.
yes, sir.
The cost
Yes, sir.
savings per hour or the rate.
Yes, sir. Correct. And those, it's already been budgeted for that position. That particular employee is not getting
It
compensated.
got confusing
Yes, sir.
when you looked at the cost per part-time firefighters from $25,000 to $30,000.
Yes, sir.
It was, would you say the captain's? Oh, what does he make full-time?
Full-time salary total, his FLSA cost is about $64,000.
64.
Yes, sir. So we're at about 6 months now. That particular employee, again, just for clarification for not only you, but any of the
Okay,
citizens.
let's dive a little deeper.
Yes, sir.
How are we on gear?
So we're actually really good. So some of these
That's the
initiatives.
first time I've ever heard that for firefighter gear.
Yes, sir. It is, and it goes back to what Mr. Drumgo had mentioned earlier. Much of what you all approved tonight goes to that accord. So
Okay.
we're kind of looking at the future and ordering that gear ahead of time, and so we don't have that upfront cost. So we're good on gear.
Say, that's the first time I've ever heard
Yes, sir.
fire department
our administrative team-
takes.
Yes, sir. Our administrative team has really tried to make sure we're set up
Okay.
to keep those costs down to
That's all I have here.
All right. Vice Mayor, I move to approve Resolution R2025-48.
Second.
We have a motion and a proper second to approve resolution R25-48. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion passes 3-0. We move to J1.
Ordinance 2025-05, an ordinance of the City of Fort Meade, Florida, amending the City of Fort Meade Unified Land Development Code, amending section 3.03.04, design standards for off-street parking in loading areas, and adding section 3.03.05, adjustments to access and parking standards, providing for repeal of inconsistent ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. This should be the first reading.
Right. Good evening. For the record, I'm Brenda Torres with the Central Florida Regional Planning Council, and we are here today for a text amendment to the City of Fort Meade's Land Development Code, addressing parking in loading areas and adding section 3.0305 adjustments to access and parking standards to allow for off-street parking on property not under the same ownership, and also for allowing for the ability to either waive or a reduction of parking spaces required. Okay, just some background information. Our current code does state that in order to have off-street parking, not on the actual parcel where the principal use is located, you are allowed to have it within 400 feet of the property, but it has to be under the same ownership. We're requesting to change that to allow for agreements to occur between property owners to allow for off-street parking in case that parking is not cannot be located on the property. We're also requesting to allow for the reduction of parking spaces required under certain regulations, and I'll go through those a little bit later, and to allow for the waiving of parking requirements if needed. Next slide. So these are the proposed amendments. We provide them in your packet in full detail. I will just summarize them, but this one is actually removing the requirement of off-street parking on property under the same ownership. As you can see, that has been striked out. Next slide. This is adding shared use and parking spaces. Basically adding regulations for shared use parking spaces and requiring a legal agreement and what that consists of. Next slide. This is also regarding the shared use parking spaces and requiring a legal agreement. Just regulations based on making sure that there's no basically adverse contributions to the off-street parking, such as hazardous to pedestrians, hazard to vehicle traffic, traffic congestions, interference with access to other parking spaces in the vicinity, and to adjacent uses. This is the new section adding section 3.305 adjustments to access and parking standards. This is basically adding regulations to allow for the waiver or reduction of parking spaces requirements. I do want to make a note that this is something that is in other cities on land development code. We took this actually from the city of Arcadia and obviously adapted it to the Fort Meade Land Development Code. So this is something that is seen in other cities. Next slide. This is adding regulations for requiring traffic and parking study to support the requested waiver of the requirement of parking spaces and allow the number of access points. We are going to be requiring that the applicant provide a parking and traffic study just to make sure that one, they can't actually house the parking spaces required, and then any traffic that might be generated and how it would correlate with the development. So the Fort Meade Planning and Zoning Board did meet yesterday, and then they provided a recommendation of approval to the City Commission.
Thank you, Brenda.
At this time, I stand to answer any questions.
I have no questions.
Maybe you are.
I have one. Do you have any leeway there for handicap parking?
Regarding the
We don't have any handicap parking downtown. That's been a pet peeve of mine since I've been on the commission.
right, so currently our code does state for every 25 parking spaces required for a development, 1 ADA or handicap parking space is required. The church that kind of started this does not have adequate space to provide parking. The school has ADA sections, so any way I guess that could kind of be sufficient for that, or they could possibly designate within the parking that they do currently have on the church.
And they do.
I would think that we want it closer to.
Right.
Well, thank you.
Mhm.
I don't have any.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I move to approve the first reading of ordinance 2025-05, amending the Land Development Code, amending section 3.03.04 and adding section 3.03.05 regarding parking requirements. And set a second reading for the, May 13th. To our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a proper second. to
Vice
approve-
Mayor.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry, I got you. Anybody in the audience would like to make any comments? Anything regarding this? Thank you.
Close. Close.
It's closed, so, yeah. So, thank you, Melissa. So we have a motion and a proper second for the first reading ordinance 2025-05. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion passes 3-0. Next is public, number K.
L.
L. All right. Item L.
Resolution number 2025-14, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Meade, Florida, approving an annual land lease agreement with CSX Transportation for the train and caboose located on the CSX right-of-way and authorizing financial assistance to the Fort Meade Historical Society for the lease costs.
Right, so this item was originally presented at, initially presented at a regular meeting, February 11th, 2025. After some extensive discussion amongst the commission, you all voted to defer this, and you asked for some additional information. So Interim City Attorney Smith has engaged with a representative of CSX to clarify the contract terms. And CSX, of course, indicated that the terms are consistently applied across all contracts and are non-negotiable due to the existing right-of-way. So they've stood on the position to offer the annual land lease agreement in the amount of $1,200. However, due to the financial constraints that the museum experiences, they're unable to cover that cost, and so the request is financial support from the city to cover that lease. If the commission does move forward with this approval, staff recommends that the existing lease be brought back before commission annually for review and evaluation as to whether or not the Historical Society's financial position is improved and means that they can cover some or all of this cost. This is an unfunded expense in our budget. The amount is $1,200 for that agreement. So it is it's at the commission's discretion as to whether or not you would like to approve it. Further authorizing that financial assistance to the Fort Meade Historical Society in the amount of $1,200. And Attorney Smith is available if you have any questions on this.
Do we still use that train, Priscilla? Yeah, if you would please come up here.
You've been here before.
Name and address, please.
Priscilla Perry, 3975 Old Bowling Green Road. We cannot use the train right now because of the lack of insurance as far as events or having parties or any kind of rental use. I believe that Melissa has, per the request, I believe, of Mrs. McCutcheon, Commissioner McCutcheon, that you wanted to know about our financials. And Melissa has that for you. I was not able to come last month because of illness, but that information is here for you for the last 4 years, okay? Is there any other questions that you might have?
You ask questions, Kenny?
Mr. George isn't here, but I brought two great people that can help. If I don't have the answer, I'm sure that they do.
So how much is the insurance on the train?
It's gonna be $1,800 that I have found, but we are trying so desperately to ask that you will help us with, I don't know what you call it, umbrella. When you have, the city has insurance and it's on the city's property, we would love to see us go back to the agreement we had before I became president, so that we can move forward. I think that you'll see when you see our income statement that we are in some ways very strapped. I'm 80, and the rest of us are about the same thing, so it's not like we can do a lot of things. And I'm not making that as an excuse, because we are energetic. We are energetic. And we do a lot of
You
things.
didn't really have to say that, because I went to school with Dr. Ford.
I'm just saying, we're ready, willing, and able to do everything that we can. And we certainly feel that the train would be income for us. We have people all the time asking us if they can rent the train, and at this time we can't.
What kind of shape is the train in? Last time I was in it.
The only thing that actually needs help is the caboose, and we're taking care of that. It has termite, and we are going to take care of that. There is some structural, the ramp, which is kind of an oxymoron, because it's got steps, so there's no reason, it's got steps on both entrances. So I don't know what somebody would do if they wheeled up that far, because they can't pick up their wheelchair and go in. Plus the doors are 1926. They were not ADA structured at that time. So we're coming up with a different way of having entrances. So that's the only thing but that's not on you, that's on us.
Anybody have any questions?
I have no further questions.
Do you have anything that you'd like to add?
Yeah, I'm Dr. Bob Ford, 415 Railroad Court, and I'm a volunteer with the museum. The problem with the train is that, from my understanding, is that the city, the museum building itself is covered by city insurance. But somewhere along the line, the train was excluded and is treated as what Priscilla calls an artifact. Even though any reasonable person would look at it and say, this is part of the museum because it's designed to go through and be used. It's not sitting on a shelf somewhere. So because of that, the train had no insurance, no liability insurance again. And because there's no liability insurance, we really couldn't have any functions in it. And because we're not having any functions in it, there's no sense in us trying to, for instance, redo ramps or make the train better usage if we can't use it. So this is like step one to get it to usage. Like for instance, Priscilla said something about the caboose. Well, it's not suitable for use, but volunteers could do some things to make it suitable. The rest of the train has been used in the past, and really it's kind of a unique drive. Yeah, a lot of people come to the museum because they see the train, or they're bringing their grandchild, and their grandchild wants to climb on the train or see the train, because they're not like you and I. I can remember as a child catching the train in downtown Fort Meade and going to Jacksonville. But most people, younger people, have never even ridden on the train. So that's the reason that the train needs some repairs. There's no sense in us trying to do anything with it if we can't use it.
So, Doctor, it's my understanding that you are paying on making those improvements if you get the insurance, so it'd be beneficial.
That would be our desire, but, if you look at the budget, you see that, we like the city of Fort Meade, we're not really on the cash.
That's a big thing, that's the only thing, you're rental. So,
Well, it would be nice to at least have enough income from the train for it to carry its own load.
right.
May I add, it was 2020 when the commission voted to make the train an artifact and remove it from connection to the museum building itself. Are there any other questions? Anything I can add? I make a mean chocolate pie, whatever it takes.
We'll talk later.
Okay.
But I do have one question. So help me understand, Attorney Smith and you and the doctor, help me understand. We own the train, but we lease the track.
We would if we go through what you're talking about tonight.
So,
Well, that's not exactly correct. If you look at the property line for CSX, if you can imagine the road between Peace River, that way between Peace River and the museum building, the CSX property line is out, and it goes along to the east side of the train until about halfway back through the first car, and then it cuts back towards the CSX tracks. So about half of the train is on CSX property, and don't ask me why. The remaining half is on city property. It's just, I guess when the CSX property, it looks like to me that anywhere there's an intersection, it's wider, and then when it gets away from the intersection, it narrows down.
Right. That's true.
And don't ask me why they put the train there, because CSX was involved as the city and the
Placement.
Historical Society in deciding where to put it. So if y'all want to come and move the tracks about, 20 yards? But that has been a problem. I don't know why that was not reckoned at the very beginning. It seems like somebody, especially CSX, would have mentioned
But
that.
right away, the intersection expands out to allow for construction on the rebuilding of the tracks work. And it goes that ground all the way to heaven. You don't get on their property.
Well, the picnic tables and the maypole.
I don't talk too much.
So essentially, it's because it's an active federal right of way, and a lot of what Commissioner Watt stated is true. Because of the size, the speed, the weight, different things of that nature, they may have to come in and do some different things around there. So it's like an easement. It's really difficult to explain an easement, but the clerk does have a map of it so that you can see it, but it's the right of way that they own, and so that's why we can't do much negotiation.
You can see the property line right here and then it cuts through the.
Yeah.
Part of it.
yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, and so that's why we can't do any real negotiations, because it's tied up under a federal active right of way.
Yeah, I understood. I understand. Okay, just.
And what
I was just trying to figure out, I'm not old enough to know when there was a train station there and when there wasn't. So I was just trying to figure out in my mind, how did we get the train? Did they just abandon it and said y'all can have it, or what?
Well, kind of like that.
Oh,
See,
okay.
a 2-second history. It was a passenger train.
Yeah.
The lounge was the baggage car. The dining was the actual seats that you rode in. They decided, who they is, I don't know. I guess it was the Historical Society and then those that came, Buford Brown. So we got this train that the Phosphate Company purchased many years ago. They're finished with it, and so those cars were placed on tracks that was made for the train. So that's how it got there. And
Okay.
That's about,
Yeah, it hasn't always been there. It was probably since 1980. It was placed there as a display.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
yes, thank you.
Yeah, they like remember people that flagged down the train on the 9/15. They put their taxes on the train, then stamp it to go on the right date.
We have pictures of the train being, with the crane. All this was volunteer work that was done to bring the train, so it's got quite a story to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution R 2025-14, the annual land lease agreement with CSX Transportation for the Fort Meade Historical Museum.
Discussion. Oh, discussion.
Please.
Mr. Drumgrove, being that this is an unbudgeted item, how will we pay for it?
Well, we would
That's the next question.
we would creatively go and look at your budget. Specifically, this is a legislative fund. We will look at that fund and figure out if there are other line items that are unspent that we could pull those dollars from. And then we would propose a budget amendment to cover this cost, and you would see that switch. I will say that in working with our finance team, Ms. Kikta, is our intent is to bring you a mid-year budget amendment so that we can just reconcile some active accounts. And so we would take the similar action to find the dollars for this, and that's how we would cover this expense.
Okay. And I mean, I just think that for the future, being that we do want the museum here and its artifacts, that this is taken into account, its expenses, and whatever we can do as a whole to ensure that certain items are covered, annually. And that is so the museum, until the museum gets to a place where they are financially stable to cover, if not all, some of their expenses. That's just it. So they don't have to keep coming back. So there's been a motion.
I have a question.
Okay.
What's the opportunities to get insurance on that through the city? Would umbrella coverage of that, would it cover that since the city owns the train?
It would not, at this time, it's not something that you could do because you would have to have another motion made to not allow it to be an artifact anymore. So it could be back a part of the museum, and then, yes, it would be able to be covered.
Well, I can remember the vote on making an artifact. I just can't remember the history around it, but I know we didn't do it. Because it was under our umbrella at the time. And I don't remember why we pulled it out.
I think, as a suggestion, what we could do, because we're gonna have to come back and revisit this, and this wasn't something that was on the agenda item, and when she got up to speak on it, we could have the minutes, and we could get those shared with you, we could get that resolution, and the city manager, the interim city manager, can make a decision on it coming back up before the next meeting, and then addressing the parts and giving everyone that historical context, and then talking about their need to be able to have the insurance met. The other thing with the agreement, like the interim city manager stated, is we could come back up and revisit this with them giving us their financials yearly to see where they are and how it's coming along. It gives us the right, I believe, to, even though it rolls over in perpetuity, the agreement, it gives us the right to stop the agreement with 30 days notice. So therefore, when the Historical Society does come up to the point where they're financially able to take it on, then we can give our notice and they can enter into an agreement with them on their own.
Okay. I would be very interested to come back forward with that. To address the umbrella.
All right.
We've got to get the insurance straightened out before we do much of anything.
All right.
Would you like to have the financials that are copied for y'all tonight, or do you want to wait?
we'll wait to get the stuff together.
Okay. Melissa, do you wanna keep that, or do you wanna give it back to me? How do you want to handle it? However you wanna do it. I'm with you.
I would just ask if we just keep it, we can get the copies and then we can get disseminated to the interim city manager and then get it out to the commission.
Thank you.
All right, I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a proper second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion passes 3-0. Okay, we need to item M, new business. New business. We go to N, report of the mayor. He's not here, so we'll move to item O. Report of the city manager.
I do have a couple of items that I'd like to provide just as information. I would like to say congratulations to our Employee of the Month, Olivia Martin. She's not here with us this evening, but I believe I included you all in congratulating her. She did a phenomenal job in the month of March, so I just wanted to publicly, give her that gratitude. And then we will be posting about her on social media and sharing that highlight of her success. And speaking of posting on social media, we are actively, I would say, taking a more proactive role in getting information out and disseminating. So we will be working as a collective to pull together a ton of project information and working through our newly selected public information officer. Allison Coast will be splitting time between code enforcement and going out and collecting those stories publicly to make sure that we share that information back. So if we ask you all for interviews or just Q&A time, please help us out. We did post some information today where we'll be consolidating some of the other accounts that we have active. The other thing I'd like to say is that we officially have Instagram, so please go follow the City of Fort Meade on Instagram as well. We have an active Facebook presence, but we are also on IG now officially too. So, yeah. So check us out. And just in preparation for our budget planning session that we're getting into FY26, I know we're not deep into 25 yet, but we're halfway there. And so staff will be working on budget preparation, and just to aid in our process this year, we're very aware of the economics of where we are as a city. And so we're looking at every contract. We're looking at our subscriptions and our memberships to figure out what we can consolidate. And I know this was something that was very important to you, Commissioner Watson. You asked a lot of questions about what we have active. And so, this budget will take all those things into consideration, and staff is working through those contracts at this time to get a sense of where we are.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. And I have received several questions about the payment status of Mr. Dean while he is on his leave. And so I will just on the record say that Mr. Dean is not being paid during his absence. He is not collecting a paycheck. I know a lot of citizens had concerns about whether or not they were double paying for my presence and for Mr. Dean's presence, and that is not the case. So I wanted folks to be comfortable in knowing that. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on is the lien amnesty program. I have received a lot of questions about the lien amnesty program from citizens. I actually had someone come in today for discussion about the amnesty program. And being the new guy in the room, I realized that the city manager is supposed to report monthly on that. However, even my predecessors have not reported out on the lien amnesty program. And so the last report has occurred, I want to say it was July, was when the report out occurred. So my commitment is to bring a report to the next meeting reconciling all the previous months that have passed. And so the information will be up to date, and I'll provide that information at the May meeting.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
City Attorney.
Yes, this will be brief. For the American Legion project, we should be planning to close on that within the next 2 to 3 weeks. It could be sooner. The interim city manager will disseminate that information, but as of today, the title is clear, and the title company has made contact with the current owner of record to just get a few other things from them, such as their operating agreement and authority to be able to convey over title to the land. So that's going to be a win. The only other thing we have is the 2 cases that are with Attorney Koji are moving to the next phase, which is what we had discussed in the past at a couple of our meetings. And if you would like to speak with me specifically about those once this meeting concludes.
I missed the first part of that last comment.
So the 2 cases that we have with Attorney Brian Koji,
Right, Coach, yeah.
they are moving to the next phase that we had discussed previously in our prior city meetings. So what I can do is give you some more information on that, because things that involve strategy, we do not disclose that publicly. So if you would like to speak with me about that after the meeting, I'm available for that.
Have they completed the interrogatories?
Yes, and so the interrogatories, they have been responded to. Just for background and context, interrogatories are questions that each side gets to send out to the other side to ask specifically about the details of the pending lawsuit. That is not shared in any type of platform on public record. The only thing that is noticed is the fact that the interrogatories took place and the responding party did respond.
That much was on the internet site.
Yes.
I can see that much, but I know they're completed.
Yes. And for the specific answers, the clerk would have those for you if you wanted to come down and review those. And that will be all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any future commission? Any remarks from the commissioners?
I'll just say kudos to Commissioner Williams and Dorothy Jean Dream Initiative for the festival that took place. I enjoyed myself. I hope that everyone who came out had a good time. The talent was exceptional. The camaraderie was exceptional. And just hopefully one day that this event will benefit the businesses that'll be in our downtown corridor. Also want to say thank you to Mr. Drumgo and your staff for a job well done in the report that you sent out regarding individuals, honoring them and recognizing them for their commitment, their hard work. Kudos to you all. And also, I just want to say thank you for stepping in at the right time. And I'm looking forward to working together to get some other things done. And getting these projects, the grant funds, thank you. Following up, for being diligent, and making sure that the allocations that we received, that they are being utilized, that the projects are getting off the ground. We're putting some shovels in the ground. We're seeing some dirt get kicked up, and that excites me. Oh, and I'm also excited that Wawa is getting ready to open, y'all. Y'all excited about Wawa? Wawa is getting ready to open. We're excited about that. Excited to see the Cobras coming in town, and the buzz that is going around not only this city but our neighboring cities are talking about us in a positive way, and I'm glad about that. So thank you all for your commitment to the city of Fort Meade and its residents. That's all I have.
Commissioner Watts?
A couple things. I would like, we'll start off with, I know other people have asked me about having a ethics complaint filed against me and other city commissioners and city representatives and officials. For the record, one of me has been dismissed, and I know several others apparently have been dismissed. So, and I would like to suggest the city attorney take a look at the harassment laws involving the city government and being harassment. Okay. But like I said, they all have been dismissed, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. I must admit, I'm in the same boat as him. I got one too, was been dismissed. So
It was dismissed, plus.
Yes. So, good of order. Anybody have any good for the order?
Nope. Not anything at this time.
Well, if we don't, well, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
So be it.
Do that.
3-0. Thank y'all.
I'd like to.
I thank you for your help. I mean, I know I probably done with the rest.
You did a great job.
Right, so. Now, Mr. Drummond, I know we're not.